This video is intended as a supplemental aid for people interested in learning how to tattoo. The video is not a viable alternative to learning from a licensed tattoo artist. Tattoo Shop USA does not condone the practice of non-licensed tattooing and highly recommends that anyone seriously considering tattooing seek out a licensed tattoo artist for proper training and proper education in safety and sanitation practices. These videos contained on this site are done by real apprentices, tattooists, and tattoo artists. If you have questions or want to comment, please feel free to leave a comment or contact us via email. Thank you. Hello, this is Rio with TattooShopUSA.com. Today we're going to talk about your equipment and your kit. We're just going to go through a very quick familiarization of the actual machine and how to assemble it and what some of the things are, and we'll talk a little bit briefly about ways to prevent cross-contamination and sanitization practices. So let's get started. Obviously, we'll go through here. This is my liner. It's a 44 Magnum liner through Hildebrandt. It's the Hildebrandt Professional Kit liner. This is a 38 Special Shader. This is a tube, grip, and tip. And once again, this is also a tube, grip, and tip. This is a disposable assembly. This basically is the whole thing, tube, tip, and grip, but it's all one piece. It's all disposable plastic. It's a tattoo needle. And let's go ahead and get started. For the purpose of this video, we're going to be a little bit brief because obviously YouTube has got limits as to how long it can be and how big the video can be. But we'll get right to work on it. So you got the rear deck where the frame screw bolts in to the spring. You got the armature bar mounting screw. This is an O-ring that is for the tension on this front spring. This is your armature bar. This is your contact post. This is a tensioner screw. What basically this does is you can loosen it. It's a little bit tight right now because I've had it tuned already. You can loosen it this way, and this will allow this to turn, or you can tighten it, which disallows it turning. This is a vise. These are coils. This is your back and your front. This is just a rubber band that I keep on my machine. This is your lead post. You're going to hook your clip cord into a hole here and a hole here. One is grounded to the frame, obviously, and obviously one is a hot line, which gives you your power to your machine. This is a top post for the contact. And this is your frame itself. Now this is a liner. It's a little bit different throw from, say, the traditional shader that the Hildebrandt releases. As you can look, this is your traditional shader from Hildebrandt. It's got the traditional V shape for the frame. It's pretty much the same thing. The only difference is you can look just by seeing this here, the difference. The throw is a little bit different. It's a little further back on the liner than it is on the actual shader. So other than that, there's really not much of a difference. Same general principles for the machine. Those are your rear coil mounting bolts. I'm not going to go into actually how to disassemble a machine simply because you're going to get an apprenticeship, and when you do, you're going to be tearing apart machines, and you're going to be taking everything apart, and you're probably going to even be doing coil work, which can involve solder and wires. There's actually a connecting wire between the two coils, and of course, soldering those wires onto the actual coils themselves, and putting the capacitor, which on this machine in particular it's hard to see, but there's one right here. You have to also put that on there into the circuit. But that's really the basics of the machine. Now, how the machine works, you're going to put, obviously you're going to hook it to your power supply. You're going to clip your clip cord in here, and then hit your foot pedal. And what that does is it sends a current through the, the lead, through the wiring, and through the capacitor, and it causes the electromagnetic system to engage. And basically what that means, sorry, it's early. What that means is that it's going to start opening and closing using the magnetic force to make that armature bar move like this. And then, of course, if you can imagine, you'll have a needle coming through here in your assembly, which would be, basically slid in here like so. I'm not going to go into much detail on it, but you'll get the general idea. This is a new machine, so they're a little stubborn to assemble, which is annoying. Well, anyways, the needle's going to come down from the post. It's going to come down through the machine, down to your tube grip and tip. And basically, when it's running, it's going to go up and down, causing that needle to go up and down inside the tube. And it's basically all there is to it. It's an open and close circuit type deal. Anyways, let's get back to the generals here. We're going to go ahead and assemble the machine real quick so you guys can see what's involved. Obviously, it's not real difficult, but it's something that you should, in fact, use. Now, for the purpose of this video, I've already gone ahead and prepared the needle. This is actually a 7-round liner. That's what we're going to use today. So basically, all you're going to do is you're going to take your needle out. Make sure you wear gloves. It's important. Always wear gloves when you're handling a needle. 7-round liner. As you can see, there's a bar on top, and then there's the needle grouping on the bottom right here. Always have the needle grouping down inside your tube. It's very important. The difference between a shader and a liner needle is that the shader needles are flat, and they generally they kind of do this thing, or they fan out at the end. Whereas a liner comes to a specific point. Imagine a pencil lead with, like, well, in this case, 7 different leads, all coming to a point. You're going to notice that on this particular one, I already put the grommet on here. The reason is these are particularly annoying grommets. I usually put a nipple on the front of the armature bar, which serves as an easier way to get your needle on. But the kit came with the fixed grommets for the eyelets for the needles, and those are really annoying. But anyways, just for the moment here, let's go ahead and get this set up. I'm going to show you very quickly how to set your machine up, get it tuned, and then we'll go from there. Alright, this is the disposable tube. As you can see, it's also a round tip 7, which will fit the 7 needle. Now, there are 2 ways to do this. I prefer to come in from the front like so. Alright, you have to very carefully put it inside the tube without banging the tube up and getting the needle all over the place. You just drop it down in here like so. Alright, now you pick up your machine. You're going to feed this through. And then, of course, you're going to have to fool with this particular part of it, which is annoying. Alright, I'm getting it here. You just make sure your needle groupings are on the bottom. Pull your grommet over your armature bar post. And that's basically all you got to do to get that installed. Alright, you make sure it's all lined up. Once again, make sure your needle grouping, so you can just pull your tube a little bit out and see where needle grouping is. Make sure your needle grouping is on the bottom of the tube. Alright, and what I do is when I'm adjusting it, I pull it out a little bit. You should just barely see the tips of those needles. I mean, when you run your finger over it, you almost can't even feel them. And then tighten down your tube, like so. Alright, don't hork on it. Don't tighten it down too tight. You don't need to. Okay, now for the purpose of this video, let's go ahead and just show you how far I actually have it out. You can just barely see the tips. When I put it on the armature bar, that's as far as you want to go. You see that? It's about a 1/16 of an inch. That's as far as you want to go. Now, this machine is ready to go. All we need to do now is hook up the clip cord and set our power supply. So, go ahead and find the clip cord here, and I'll show you the power supply. There's your power supply. General rule of thumb, set it to 7.5. You don't need to go much higher than that. This is the Hildebrandt. This is the PW10. It's got a liner shader toggle switch. You can hold up to 2 machines on it. This one is the liner. This one's a shader. This is your foot pedal clip cord, power, the other rheostat for the shader. It's got a very fine rheostat setting, so you can get very, pinpoint accuracy on the rheostat. But anyways, let's get back over here. Forgive my lackluster camera skills. We'll go ahead and hook up the clip cord. Like I said, it's real simple. There's a hole right here on this side, and then a hole on the frame, like so. And just make sure it's in there good, because you don't want any problems. Now you'll notice I have a rubber band on my machine. Pretty much all classic machines like this, you're going to need a rubber band. Typically, what I like to do is I like to use 2. Well, for the purpose of this, let me go ahead and do this. I actually will do this. I'll twist and overlap and make 2. And you just kind of even them up. And the reason you do this is because you want to put as much of, well, not a lot of pressure, obviously, but you want to put enough tensile pressure on this needle to keep it in the bottom of the tube, because it'll keep it from wobbling around inside your tube. But anyways, let's go ahead and hook that back up. So we have our tattoo machine, and we're ready to fire it up for the first time. So just go ahead and hit your foot pedal here. And mine's running really soft, which means I need to do some tuning. Now, liners, they're about a dime in width between the contact post and the front spring. That's just the general rule. It doesn't apply to everything, obviously. Alright, we'll loosen this up. Hit your foot pedal. Sounds pretty good right there. Check your spacing. Yep, looks good. Sounds good. Now for my liner, I usually crank it up to about 8. And the reason I do that is because it feels better to me. It really is a matter of preference. So, but that's pretty much all there is to it. Once you've gotten this done, you want to make sure that before you actually start tattooing, you bag your machine, bag your clip cord. Even if you're only doing practice skin or fruit, it's always good practice to bag your equipment. I can't tell you how important sanitation and keeping everything as covered and clean is. It's just so important. As a matter of fact, let's go ahead and just show you this real quick. This is your standard kit ink cup holder. Now you'll notice I put a plastic bag over it, and then I push the cups down into the ink cup holder. Why did I do this, you're probably asking. Well, here's the deal. Say this is full of ink and you're cleaning up at the end. What you can do is you can actually take your bag, you can roll it over like so, and pull out the whole thing with all the ink in it and everything, and you still got a nice clean ink cup holder. It's a nice little trick to know. That's pretty much it for basic machine. How do you set one up? How you tune it? The only difference between the liner and the shader when it comes to settings is that your contact post is about a nickel instead of a dime when you initially set it up. Other than that, it's all set up pretty much the same way. It really is going to be a matter of artist preference as to what happens and how you set up your machines for speed and everything else. But this should give you a basic rundown. Anyhow, this is Rhea with TattooShopUSA.com. I hope you enjoyed this short video on the machine setup and tuning, and I look forward to talking to you guys soon. Thank you.